It is August 28th, 2018. A big show. So much to talk about. And yet I'll still find a way to waste some time. Just overloaded with topics, ideas, thoughts, random nonsense, of course. We have, big news, and obviously everybody knows the big news, obviously the passing of John McCain, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Elections tonight, of course, in Arizona. So a lot of big stories, a lot of other big stories that I know about. So much. I think if we can effectively kill a national pride and patriotism of just one generation, we will have won that country. Therefore, there must be continued propaganda abroad to undermine the loyalty of citizens in general, and teenagers in particular, by making drugs of various kinds readily available, by creating the necessary attitude of chaos, idleness, and worthlessness, and by preparing psychologically and politically, we can succeed. That was said by none other than Vladimir Lenin. And when you think about that in today's world, you think, wow, that could be the case. That could be the case of what we see today. So, John McCain. What can we say? Obviously, we know the guy was a war hero, decorated war hero. There were people that tried to throw shade on that. Did he make mistakes? Sure. But decorated war hero in general. And, being a hostage, prisoner of war, POW, as they say. Not much more. The guy went through a lot. Really, what else can you say about that? It's easy to sit back and talk about how you do this and that and whatnot, but, obviously none of us have gone through that. The majority of people never go through that, and thank goodness. So, in those senses, of course, you have to say, what a brave person. John McCain obviously saw things and did things we would never do. Definitely, And that being said, there's another side. There's the other side, right? There's John McCain, the politician. And you can judge him on everything. You don't have to, you don't, I don't know, it's hard to say, but yes, being tremendous at war, and a lot of things he did were good, but there were many things he did that weren't good. Just a war hero who survived torture. Everybody knows. But they called him the Maverick as a politician, and really, that's all. When that came out, you knew he was turning the curtains. Maverick meant he was reaching across the aisle. That's all the left would say, Maverick. It wasn't a Maverick. It meant he was going to vote on their side. As much as he talked about what he did for the Vietnam vets, as far as in the hospital stuff, Arizona had the worst results in the VA here. And when people say he was a hawk and he watched over that stuff, that's a big failure. If you're really conservative, you definitely were leery of him. He had a huge political machine here in Arizona, and he got elected easily, reelected easily. He married it good. You got to understand who he married. His wife was, she was the heir of Anheuser-Busch. they came out here. She had the money. Her family had the money to back him and get him running. And, that's it. It's, it's history from there. I mean, there's just many, though. Like I said, the service, what he did for our country as a warrior, outweighs all the other stuff. I mean, a lot of it, I think, his downfall politically was, as you've seen many politicians go. When he first came out, he was really strong. He was tough. He was conservative, as he said. And then for McCain, he kind of got soft throughout his time. It was more important to get on the camera, to be on the TV shows. Especially the past few years, how many TV shows he was on. John McCain became just a guy looking for the next thing. Here was a guy who had a chance to become president, and really he choked. He choked. He was the one who wouldn't put the crushing blows. As Obama was insulting him, he really didn't say much about Obama. As he had one last chance to slap down Obama and vote against Obamacare, right? Recently, he didn't. It was more his anger for Trump overtook that. And that's not being a good statesman. You can be a war hero, you can be a warrior, but as far as a politician, he just got caught up into the limelight of, oh, I'm going to try to be a Democrat's friend. I'm going to reach across the aisle. Once you hear that, the rest of us who stand strong, we start running. There's no reaching across the aisle. I always said, you don't negotiate on certain things. There's some things you negotiate, but most of it isn't. There's no reaching across the aisle on certain things. Are we going to not have borders and let people in and not check them? There's no debating that. There's no reaching across the aisle on that. We want to have security. When somebody takes your daughter out and the guy comes up to you, yeah, I'm going to hook up with your daughter and do this and that, you're like, no, and get out of my house. You're not negotiating. There's no reaching across the aisle. It's get out of my house and get out now. So, you judge a man by all that he's done, not one thing that he's done. We've all made mistakes. We've all had our ups and downs in life, and sometimes we learn and get better. And sometimes we do things not for wrong reasons. We're human, we make mistakes. So, to sum that up, I mean, McCain did a lot more than most of us will ever do. I mean, just as his time, in the military. So, I mean, that overshadows his political career. But it's amazing to see the absolute trash. I mean, just the disgraceful journalism out there. I mean, you have the New York Times, for instance. Now they loved John McCain so much. That's funny because the New York Times was saying that John McCain, he stood for racism. And then now when he died, he stood for hope. John Lewis, right? Another piece of work. He said, McCain fosters an atmosphere of hate and hostility, like one that led to white supremacists in 1963 bombing a church. That's what John Lewis said. But now, McCain is a warrior of peace. I mean, it is amazing. The New York Times, who said that McCain is such a great man, literally wrote article after article about how when McCain was in the military, he set off a missile attack, which the facts of that, and you can look them up, are not so. He may have made mistakes at times, but that one actually wasn't his. But yet the New York Times was always on to jump that way. And now here they are. He's such a great man. And Obama, please. I mean, it's disgraceful. And I know you want to be kinder when somebody dies, but, these people couldn't care less. They did anything to throw him under the bus when he was running against somebody who wasn't even a good presidential candidate. At the time, Barack Obama, was a horrible presidential candidate. I don't care if, whatever fascination you're on, how his presidency went, look at the facts of the matter. At the time, McCain was seasoned. He served in the military. He had years of experience, foreign, domestic. He knew about business. What did Barack Obama had? The guy never had a real job. He was one of the only people that was head of a school newspaper, and he wrote nothing for it. Interesting, right? Obama pretty much voted here. I mean, like the Ferris Bueller of voting. He had really no opinions on everything. Everything was nothing to him. But the only vote that Obama ever stood for and backed was letting babies that were aborted and survived suffer in pain and die. And yet you had all these people who say now McCain's a hero because he doesn't like Trump, were saying McCain was unfit and Obama was qualified. So, we all know that the press is just, it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to hear CNN talking about how great they are. So like I said, to sum up John McCain, I mean, war hero. He did some good things, but he also did some not good things. And so now he's getting overglossed, which happens, when you pass away. Of course, people want to look at you in a better light. I understand that. It is what it is. So I judge him as a whole, decent human being, but a poor politician, and a very poor politician at that. And that's about all I have on McCain. I mean, it'll be a big week for Arizona, and I don't understand, like, we have to bring the body here, we have to bring the body there. I mean, why can't his family just pay respects to him? I mean, like, let's not pretend we know this person, I mean, we've seen him and stuff, but, like, even with, like, famous people, I just don't get that. Let their family have their time, close friends have their time, and, let that be it. So elections tonight, right? So I guess there was a lot of troubles today in Arizona with our elections, as there's been for the past bunch. I guess we had places that weren't ready, equipment wasn't there, wrong ballots were being handed out. So we pretty much, I don't even think they have final results in yet, obviously, and some races are pretty close. But these are just primaries. Most of them are no big deal, nothing surprising as far as, Martha McSally beat Joe Arpaio and Kelly Ward, In that race, I mean, that's what the polls were saying, chemtrail Kelly. I almost feel bad for her. I mean, she seems like a decent enough person, but I don't think she ever won an election in her life. I'm surprised Joe Arpaio even got 20%, just on his recent, he didn't seem like he was into this one a lot. Kirsten Sinema won going away. Not a surprise. Green and Libertarian candidates, nobody knew who they were. They didn't even vote for themselves as far as right now. 0 votes. Colonel Wendy Rogers, she beat Steve Smith, was the real challenger there. There was Tiffany Shedd, not even close. But Wendy Rogers looks like she's going to ink it out. It's close in some of these. Tom O'Halloran, the Democrat, won. There's nobody really going against him. I don't know. I looked down these elections. Nothing. Ann Kirkpatrick won by 41% to 31 over Matt Hines. That's actually a little surprising because Ann Kirkpatrick's, a long timer around here. Shocking. Raul Grijalva got all the votes for the Democrats. That guy is just a waste. I mean, just about the best thing that's happened recently is I haven't had to hear that guy talk. He's just a buffoon. Paul Gosar, the only one running on his side for District 4. Andy Biggs, District 5, only one running on the Republican side. Looks like he'll be facing up against Joan Green. I don't know, most of these. Ruben Gallego won. Nothing there important. Dave Giles lost. So Mesa people know who he is. And then it looks like Doug Ducey's going to win. Not shocking. I mean, Ken Bennett is a decent guy, but Doug Ducey is our leader here, and that'll continue to be the case. But looks like he will be facing David Garcia. Not shocking, Barry Hess got almost no votes again. Steve Gaynor beat Michelle Reagan for Secretary of the State. Mark Brenovich, Attorney General, is the only one running. So it's just a formality, and he was the only one running on the Republican side. So I don't know. Primary is not too exciting. That's why you don't hear much excitement from me. And most of the people that are really good, they're the only people running on their side, and they're going to wipe out everybody. So, nothing exciting there. But at least now you're up to date and in the know, right? It's good to be in the know. What else can we be in the know about? So we have good old Cuomo, right? This guy's a buffoon. He said America was never great the other week. Now, I understand if you're poor and you say that. Maybe you feel ripped off. Maybe you were born in a bad situation. Your parents were worthless. Life's been rough for you. I get that. But then you have the rich people. You have athletes, the Hollywood, politicians like Cuomo, saying how bad America is, how not fair it is. I don't get it. They're living a great life. Most of them have done nothing. Half of them got it from their families. When it's the middle class, they're the ones that are having the hardest time, trying to keep what you got. Yet you have these buffoons complaining. They're the ones complaining like they've been robbed, when they're the ones trying to rob any cent. When it comes to their time to give up something, they won't. You don't see them housing anybody. You don't see them giving up anything. You look at what they donate to charity, time and money-wise, it's little to nothing. It's the middle-class people who are working 100 hours a week and still find 5 hours to give to somebody, to give a few bucks to somebody, for a real story, not because some degenerates asking for a GoFundMe account, right? So now there's a few things that tie into that. I mean, we could talk about loser mayors. Go that way, because we've mentioned Cuomo. Governor, mayor. London mayor, right? So he basically tells the people it's part of everyday life to be part of terror attacks. So Mr. Khan says if you don't want to be part of them, just move into the other parts of the country, right? You shouldn't be in a big city. That's the advice he gives me. That's real leadership. That's your leadership you get from somebody who is part of the problem and not part of the solution. And I don't know why the people of London put up with that. They should tell them we were here first. Why don't you get out? You don't want to protect us? Get out of here. We don't need you. It's amazing that they don't ride in the streets, but I think England's already overtaken as far as the country. So now another arm of that last story, right? Helping people out. GoFundMe, right? Awesome. So we had the big cons in the past few weeks on GoFundMe. And you can look through them and read them, and somebody wants to golf, give me money. Hey, I need this, give me money. And yeah, of course, they're legitimate people. Great thing. I mean, but now I'm intrigued. I want to do it myself. I want to see what I can get, right? I'm not saying GoFundMe. I'm not asking for any money. I'm not personally doing this now, but the two big scams we've had, right, in the past few weeks. You had the Peter Strzok. He needs money for his legal fund. Okay. The guy's stolen so much money from the government. He's gotten a paycheck for years for doing nothing. And what? They haven't arrested him. They should have, but they haven't. What does he need a legal fund for? And then you had, of course, good old Lanny Davis. Demo, Hillary Clinton friend. And here it is. His client, Michael Cohen, starts a GoFundMe. Donate to Michael Cohen because he wants to tell Mueller the truth about Trump and the meeting, and he knows about it. And that's funny because Lanny Davis a long time ago did say that he knew that Cohen was in Prague before Cohen was his client. So I think Cohen's a little stupid. He didn't do the research. This guy's already sold him down the river before, and maybe it was because he's just giving him free help. But Lanny Davis a long time ago said Cohen was in Prague, and even though it's been debunked, he said that he was in Prague and helped set up the meeting with Russia, and Trump knew that. So here's Lanny Davis going on TV, and then they're talking about the Cohen GoFundMe. Donate to him so he could tell Mueller the truth. But because it's going to cost him some money to tell the truth? I think even when he's in jail and he makes that phone call to Mueller, Mueller will accept the charges of the phone, I'm saying. The phone call from jail. He'll accept it, one, because it's not like Mueller's paying for it. It's the American taxpayer who's paying for it. Number two is, of course, he'd like to hear some information. Now, after the big money comes in and Cohen's got his few days of money, then it's time to walk back the story. Oh, no. You must have been confused. I didn't say that Cohen knew that Trump knew the meeting before and yada yada and yeah, I don't know and blah blah and but thank you for donating anyway. I mean, just fraud. GoFundMe should pull it down, return all the money back to the people who donated. One, they were foolish to donate for that cause anyway. If this guy wants to tell the truth, he could do it free. It's not a big deal. Problem is, he already told the truth. And that's why Mueller gave this to New York. They're trying to make it so slick that Mueller did this because then Trump couldn't stop it and this. They've been using it's the same game plan the whole time. Oh, Trump's stopping this, Trump's stopping this, Trump's stopping this. He's let it go on. First of all, Trump could have stopped this at any time. He's let it go on this long. He's not fired any of these clowns. The clowns that have been fired have gotten themselves fired through recommendations from other officials. But the thing is the reason why Mueller gave Cohen up to New York is because he knew he had no real evidence of anything that Mueller needed. So no need to waste your time on some fish. Let New York wrap him in paper and take him away because that's who he defrauded anyway with the fake taxi cab medallions and stuff, which I don't know why they care about the taxi cab medallions. I mean, seriously. That's all. When I was young, you needed this, you need that, you got to be registered, this and that. And then they let Uber and Lyft come in there and do whatever, and they don't have any taxi cab medallions. So it's all fraud anyway. It's just some money scam. It's all a money scam. And I'm telling you, the middle class is trying to work and trying to earn money to pay the taxes, to survive, and to make our lives better. And then they're always stealing from us. That, my friends, will be the third prong of this story. Now, normally, I don't go into a lot of personal stuff, but I feel that I must. So, over the past few weeks, everybody knows, so we had big storms here that just like microburst. It's microaggression the wind had against me. So, the wind ripped off of a rental property, ripped off, like, not the roof itself, but the shingles and stuff, so the roof has to be replaced. Ripped off some siding and whatnot. And then it rained so much, the way the layout is, all the water comes to actually, literally, there's a door almost, like, let's see my hand, yeah, like right there, there's a door. And the water comes, obviously this is inside my house, so water comes from the actual backyard and it comes up to the house. And I guess at the time when I bought the house there was a carport, so I guess it could run freely down that way. That was kind of the idea. Oh, dumb me, I never really thought of it. So anyway, I built a garage because I didn't want a carport, I don't need a garage so I could work. And so the water always floods, it'll flood up if it rains. Not that when it's a lot of rain, it's when it's really quick and there's no time to dissipate. So Obviously, it doesn't rain much here in Arizona, but when it does, it's usually pretty rough. So that water comes in and tries to flood. So I have to open up the back door of my garage and let it go through the front of my garage, which, if I'm not prepared, and I wasn't, ruins product I have. And people don't know I buy and resell things. I go to like storage auctions, like all types of auctions. That's what I do for a living. I buy and resell stuff. So anyway, tons of stuff got ruined, wet, whatever. Nothing major money wise. I mean, I keep my important stuff up, but just whatever, books or things that got just more of not even the money wise part, but the work that I have to do to clean that up and whatever and whatnot. So anyway, I put stuff in my trailer. I have a little utility trailer out front. I put in, I clean up, and I mean, on average, like I work near 100 hours a week. Anybody knows me, I work a lot. I have 3 kids that live here, and so obviously, give them time. A wife, she has to have time. I also, donate my time to different things. Like I run open soccer at my daughter's school. I coach soccer as well for like the city of Mason stuff. Little kids, help them out. My son's team I coach, of course. So I give out time. I work and whatnot. So I don't have a lot of time to do extra stuff, and it becomes a burden when you have to, fix messes. So to shorten the story, after these rough weeks, I had to get all the brakes on my car done, and then something else broke, and then the car place broke something on it, so I couldn't get my car in time, and my wife had to come out of work early to come get me so I could run the open soccer. Just, a lot of stuff, whatever, it happens. It's life, everybody lives it. But then Saturday, we're trying to enjoy our weekend, and I get a notice in the mail from the town I live in saying that I cannot park my trailer in my driveway. My trailer, it's a 5x8 little utility trailer. I can't park it in my driveway. So I don't even know why I own property anymore. This is exactly why I didn't want to live in an HOA, because the rules, and either they do nothing and everybody runs rampant, or they're overbearing. That's usually, most HOAs aren't run well. Either they do nothing and you're just paying fees for nothing, or they get overly aggressive and it's like they're busting your chops because you put your garbage can out a few hours too early. Because you're not on their schedule. You have to do, you might as well, be in camp or something. You're going to do this time, this at that time, and this on, whatever. And so I was told I cannot park my trailer in my driveway. So I had to have a conversation with the city Monday, and I knew it was going to be rough. I knew the outcome was not going to be good. I'm a realist. But just, I don't know. Like, one, I had no idea this was a rule. I wouldn't have bought this house if I knew that. I would have bought a house that had areas where I could park it, because they told me my options are parking it in my backyard or parking it on the side of my house, but there's no place on the side of my house on either side where it would fit. You have to have an opening, right? It's not the case. My house is actually along this way, and my backyard does not have an opening for a trailer. It has an opening you can actually go out behind the backyard, because I don't. If you're not familiar with the way a lot of Arizona is, or at least here, there were these paths behind the house where I guess you used to put your garbage out and they used to come and collect and stuff, and they haven't used them in decades. So now they fenced them off, which is good. So, crazy people just running back there. But so now it's just kind of open land, so you can drive your vehicle or whatever you need to do back there. You're responsible for making sure the weeds are pretty decent back there and whatnot. But there's no way for me to get my truck in there. So I have to now make a fence for this. I have to tear down the fence I have and make a gate so I can pull my trailer back. So I think it's unbelievable that I cannot park my own vehicle on my own driveway. It affects nobody. I don't care if people don't like my trailer, which it's just a little trailer. It's not like, and it doesn't affect anybody. And now I have to change my life. And they told me I can't even hook it up to my car. Let's say I go and do swap meets. I'm up before 5 in the morning because I'm leaving at about 5 in the morning to get there, or 5:30 in the morning. And I usually have it locked up the night before. I have it loaded up. I'm ready to go. And now I can't do that. I have to drive around the block in the back to pull it out of the gate, wake up all my neighbors because I'm driving across this whole thing. And that's what I have to do, wake up an extra half hour early. So again, I'm just trying to earn a living and work, and now I have to work extra, added expenses, just because I want to earn a living. And it's absolutely absurd. Never heard of the rule before. I've lived in this house particularly over 8 years. I've lived in this town over 20 years. No, it's about 20 years. I've lived 2 decades in this town. Never heard of the rule in my life. And now I'm faced with the consequences of something I didn't know. And yeah, pretty sad. But that just shows you communism all over. It's always going for your pocket. How can we find you today? And it's crazy because I actually read all the rules now. I went on the site just to make sure that the gate that I'm going to put in is going to be proper. And it's crazy. The rules, it is just like an HOA. I mean, they could bust your chops for anything. Even if you don't have time because you're working or you don't have money to fix something, you can be in trouble for that. So what is that fine going to do for you when you don't have enough money to fix something? It's just going to make it worse. I mean, it's kind of like your house is on fire and you're trying to get to it and they're like, you know what? We're just not going to let you go. Or maybe it's like Benghazi where you're calling for help and they say, well, we're not going to make it there in time anyway, so we're just not going to show up. I don't know. Did I just get Benghazi? No, because that was a lot more serious than this. This is just a minor thing from a minor person like me, but very frustrating that communism comes to town, I guess. So, enough about me and more about everything else. We had Bruce Orr, right? The guy who was pushing all this false information in the dossier with his wife who was writing it, working for the company paid for by Hillary Clinton. Now, he was behind closed doors testifying today. Now, I'm sure they usually have him testify behind closed doors at first because they know if the people heard the real stories behind this, what really, I mean, they would be irate as could be. But it's just some interesting point. This brings back, like, this is why James Comey stepped in here. He knew that the FBI, they're pretty honest. So that's why he took control of this Hillary Clinton investigation. When she was Secretary of State and she had her own server, which everybody knows is illegal, and then she sent classified information on that, which everybody knows is illegal, and everybody else has gone to jail for much less. But by taking over that investigation, Comey and his little buddies, they could twist the facts, contort the laws, and dictate the outcome as they wanted to. So she got special treatment. 2 tiers of justice. And now on the other hand, you have Mueller, who knows that Hillary broke law, but he's not looking into that. All he's doing is trying to find the crime that Donald Trump supposedly committed. Instead of charging someone for the crime that actually happened, that they know of, that they have evidence of, we're going to look past that and pursue Donald Trump And now, as you see, people are just making up stories, throwing it against the wall, anything to try to get, they basically want to make them so unpopular that it'll be okay to impeach him because they don't have any crimes and there's nothing to charge him with. They're just trying to take away the election from the people. And that's the way they've seen about going in. And it'll be interesting to hear what comes out of the Bruce Orr testimony. But you can tell how much they paid people, tried to get anything, and they still have nothing. If they had any real evidence, they'd be out there so quick with it if they had something. Now, speaking of, I have to talk about some sex crimes here. 3, not really all on the same level, but three stories in a row here. Sorry, I should have warned you guys, my voice is pretty rough today. I'll get over that somehow. I guess I shouldn't drink these icy cold beverages, but they taste so good. Wow, if they sponsored me, it'd be great. I could be able to tell their name and how great that was. So anyway, back to the Vatican story, right? We've touched base on that a few times. Kids in Pennsylvania, the sexual abuse cover-up. You still see this dope of a pope, the ex-bouncer, whose mouth is babbling all the time about global warming and about Trump should let everybody in. Yet he's not selling any art in the Vatican to raise money to feed people. He's not letting them spend overnight there and doing anything for them. And he's silent as a bird when it comes on to this. Even a half-assed leader would have more to say than the Pope has had to say. He's pretty much said, yeah, it's not good. It's no good. Look, limp-wristed is not even a way to speak about this guy. Here's an ex-bouncer. Here's a guy who had no problem insulting Trump about who we should let in, and no problem about talking about global warming, and it's this, and it's the sign, and blah, blah, blah. And yet, now when the crimes are there, which all he has to do is even speak strong, not even do any actions. If he just came out and said, we're going to look into it. Of course I want him to follow up with actions, but even the speaking strong now, this dude's silent as a mouse. He might as well, cut his vocal cords, and then he could say he can't speak anymore, and that would be a better solution than what this is. This is an embarrassment. This Pope should step down immediately. It's just an absolute disgrace. He has not yet come out and said, we will do full investigations, and anybody who's touched kids with any evidence, they're gone. And anybody who helped hide those facts, not only not report it, but move these people around when they knew or hit up any crimes, they're gone too. We don't want them part of our church. Sorry, we're about forgiveness, but this is unforgivable. Something like that, anything. We're waiting for a pulse from the Pope, and it is not there. Now, out of these 3 sexual stories, and I shouldn't say sexual, but sex abuse stories, really, the second one is more of the comedy one. So Louis C.K. Returned to stand-up stage. Now, I don't want to talk about how that went. I really don't care. I couldn't care less about him. It's just, obviously, he was caught in the Me Too movement. He had said and touched and done bad things. But I can't even imagine. I was just thinking about this, and not that in a humorous way, but just in general, like, so you're a stand-up comedian, and the Me Too movement happened to you because you touched, whatever you did. Like, how do you even get back up on stage? Like, one, you'd probably be too embarrassed, I don't know. But besides that, like, how could you even have a show anymore? Like, what is it you're really going to talk? Like, almost anything you're going to say as a comedian is not going to be good. Yeah, I was at the bar with this girl, and oh, wait, no, can't say that. Like, how can you even be funny or humorous anymore? Almost anything, half of your jokes have to be out the door. You can't make any sexual connotations, jokes like that. You're going to be killed on that stage. And just half the stuff people create. I mean, you think you had hecklers before? Oh my goodness. I'm sure it's just horrible. But not saying that he's a victim or anything. That's his problem. But I mean, I'm just saying it'd be nuts. I'm sorry. I'd find another line of work. If I was a comedian who got, you know, was that stupid and did the wrong thing like that, I'd just find another line of work. It wouldn't be worth it. I don't know. It just wouldn't be worth it. So now, on to our third story here of the sexual deviation. Speaking of the good old governor of New York, right, and talking about how not great America is, yada yada. So, the Manhattan DA has decided not to charge Harvey Weinstein after allegations of sexual misconduct in 2015. Very interesting, right? Here it is, we're all for people being heard and stuff, and they won't even charge him. So, good old Governor Andrew Cuomo ordered the New York Attorney General's office to suspend its investigation into whether Manhattan District Attorney mishandled 2015 allegations of sexual misconduct against Harvey Weinstein. So maybe I kind of skipped over that. This was an investigation on a district attorney in Manhattan who didn't charge Weinstein when he knew he had evidence, he was told. And here comes the governor, when they're investigating, the district attorney putting a halt to that investigation. So, and they're trying to make the excuse that it could interfere with the criminal case against Weinstein. Who cares about Weinstein, personally? Secondly, they're two separate cases. You can keep everything private. You can keep it sealed. This is just some scam excuse. Cuomo's going in to save a friend. They'll suspend it. Oh, it's going to take 10, 20 years to charge Harvey Weinstein. By that time, nobody's going to remember or say a word about it or care. And it'll be another one of his friends getting off the hook. The only free rides in New York are when you get off the hook because you know somebody. Came out today, of course, China hacked Hillary Clinton's private email server. Should be big news to all the people who deny that. What do they call them, people? Deniers, right? That was their big word. So it should be big news to them, but it's really not big news. We all knew it. We all knew the server was open. Anybody who wanted to get in there, kids to Russia to China. And yet, we're worried about Russian collusion, even though we don't care that Secretary of Defense left all the secrets open. People could have been compromised. Oh well, right? That's weird. So now you know that former Defense Department analyst, a whistleblower, is battling to save his career. The Pentagon suspended his top security clearance May of 2017. Before, was he going on TV and saying stuff nasty about a president? No, he wasn't like that guy, John Brennan. No, his security clearance got taken away because he found out in internal reviews that Stephen Halper, the Cambridge professor, had received $1 million in taxpayer-funded money to write Defense Department foreign policy reports. Now, they stripped him of his clearance And it's because he knew stuff, obviously. And more will come out about this case, but it's something you should definitely keep on. So, I mean, what this guy really did is he just raised concerns about Halper's role in conducting what appeared to be diplomatic meetings with foreigners on behalf of the government. Because it's against law. And of course, Halper, was one of the players who was in the investigation into Trump's presidential campaign. He assisted the FBI in that. He has significant ties to the Russian government, and he's directly connected to Putin. So, very interesting. After this information was found out, and, there it is, security clearance pulled. Very interesting. So we have the social media giants on attack, right? People are getting bumped off all the time. And it just seems like a certain way you talk and you get bumped off. No, not if you say bad stuff. It's just a certain thought. We had for one Diamond Silk got kicked off. So many other people, of course, from Alex Jones being banned and nobody cared. And they won't care until they're coming for you and they're trying to ban you, then maybe you'll care. But, when social media companies make the wrong decision, it's a mistake. Okay, that can be said for anything. But when those wrong decisions keep on happening repeatedly, it's not a mistake anymore. I mean, it's pretty much their policy. That's their policy. It's not a mistake. You're banning certain type of talk. That's a policy. It's not a mistake when you keep on doing it. A mistake is when it's out of the ordinary. When it's something you do all the time, it's your company's policy. Just like a person, if you do something all the time, it's not a mistake. It's a habit. If you've cheated on everybody you've ever dated, it's not a mistake. It's your habit. It's what you do. So that's something to keep in mind, because those mistakes, as you say, are just excuses. Now, we've had before where you've had, for breast cancer, you donate money, and then you find out that they're linked to Planned Parenthood. So you thought you were donating to, cancer research, save lives, then you're basically donating to an abortion clinic. And now the United Way, they always maintain that they have no affiliation with Planned Parenthood, but their local affiliates do. So is it just some kind of con game? Or we don't, but yeah, everyone underneath us does. But they donated over $2 million to Planned Parenthood. How do we explain that, So your United Way money might be going to kill babies. Great. A few weeks ago, we talked about Dianne Feinstein. She's been really silent lately. Usually she's a pretty chatty cat. But she's been silent. And the media's been silent on her. And why has that been? Is that she's out there selling the real estate? No, because that's her husband who sells the real estate that we give her for cheap prices and makes a fortune out of. No conflict of interest to see, right? Right. You look all over Arizona, and if you don't know it, look it up. Look at a lot of those signs you see. Who's in charge of that? Well, Dianne Feinstein and her husband. Who has a different last name, just so maybe you don't connect the two. In charge of a lot of land in Arizona. Far touching from California to Arizona. But that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is the silence. And the silence, we know, is on the big story with Di-Fi. when they're talking about the influence to the American political system, that's all you hear on the news. And Russia collusion, right? And then you have the story of Dianne Feinstein. Chinese spy was in her office. Not a word. The media's had no interest in covering this at all. A few newspapers, ignored by the large ones, ignored. I haven't even seen one. I think once I saw it on TV. Downplayed, no big deal. You know, nothing to see here. But yet, they're ignoring what it is. They've omitted lots of information, of course. She has a huge relationship with China. Or is it China has a huge relationship with her? She had a sister city relationship between San Francisco. If you don't know, she was there, San Fran. She was the mayor. And it was San Fran and Shanghai. They were sister cities, which I never understand any of that junk. It's signs all over that waste your town's money with no big deal to any of the citizens. Most people don't know or don't care, and it doesn't do anything for us. And it's just amazing how 20 plus years she's been a liaison to the Chinese government on matters of foreign affairs. Yet she never talks about China's human rights abuses. But she'll talk about America's. She'll talk about America's history and how bad it was. Now, it is amazing that her and her husband have actually been in China for many big meals. Her husband, real estate mogul Richard Bloom, frequently accompanied her to functions with Chinese dignitaries. They've profited both from direct investments in China and non-direct investments in China. It's just amazing. So here it is, all her close ties to China. And there's a Chinese spy for 20 years working for her. So now is it really a spy if you knew what was going on? Would be the question we have to ask. What is it? Well, China wouldn't leave a spy there for 20 years if he wasn't getting anything. So was the spy there to keep an eye on her, and she knew about it to make sure she was doing their bidding so she could get paid on their end? That's the most logical conclusion. It makes sense. But even if that's not what you believe, you'd still think that the media should be talking about it. How did a spy end up in this? Just isn't anybody. This isn't Ocasio-Cortez who just got picked off the street and won an election. This is Dianne Feinstein, who's a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, right? Intelligence. And yet, she could be a victim of one of the longest spies in American history. I mean, we know why the media is not covering it. Doesn't fit in the narrative, and that's her friend. But this needs to be looked at a lot more. I mean, there was a spy there for 20 years. And any way you look at it, it's bad. But I've given the example of the way to look at it, it's even worse. I don't trust Dianne Feinstein, nor should anybody. All it's been about is the money, her hypocrisy. She carries a gun, you can't carry a gun. Her husband's getting gravy deals from the government. Her husband's in bed with China. I don't know. But what I do know is when you smell something fishy, really fishy, you have to, start looking around for that fish. It's there, right? Let's see, what do we have here? Down in Brazil, she was babbling about Trump today. Yada, 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 trying to pretend she liked McCain. Blah, blah, blah. And yet, this chick, who there are many witnesses now that say she was at the hospital the night of Sethrich's murder, still denies she was there. What's that about? Very interesting. Very interesting. Indeed. We'd like to find out about that. So I guess the next thing next week will be Doug Ducey picking our next senator. Now, let's just say, I do not want to go into Cindy McCain. I am sorry, but that's just ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. Just because your husband was a senator, he passed away, doesn't mean you should be the senator. I can understand if she had a huge political history and and it's not a job you qualify for, it's one you win an election, but if she had the pedigree to step in the middle of a term, I would think about it, but she doesn't. And even in that case, there's no way you should just get it because your husband was. It's just absurd. I'm okay with if we can convince John Kyle to come back and do the 2 years till the next election, and then whoever fights out for it fights out and wins. Shattuck would be good. Another good name. Those are people that I'm okay with. I'm sure there's some other names that would be pretty decent. But yeah, Cindy McCain, I mean, no offense or anything, but I mean, come on. Really? I don't know. That's like Cooper Manning should get a starting NFL quarterback job because his brothers and his dad were starting NFL quarterbacks. I just, sorry, it doesn't work that way in any form of life, unless you're talking about a small company that you own. We haven't heard much about this esports tragedy. Sadly, people died, people injured in Jacksonville. Almost not on the news. Very interesting. Is it because it was a left-wing loon? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think that really has anything to do with this. You could obviously tell. As most shootings are, mental illness, drugs, or a combination of both. There's really, any of these mass shootings, or most shootings in general that you look at, anytime you kill more than one person, it's usually mental illness, drugs, or a combination of both. That's, usually what happens there. And oh yeah, by the way, you still have fools in the media bashing not only Trump, but other people who are talking about South Africa, how they're killing white farmers. They're telling them to give up their land. They're saying, yeah, for the right count. They're trying to make it's a compensation thing. Like, one, if it's your land, you shouldn't be forced to give it up. So, that's like eminent domaining a whole country of people, a whole race of people, I guess. But there's advertisements, black land first, land or death. The actual dude in charge, the racist in charge, was saying, cut the whiteness out of them. Can you imagine if Trump said something like that? If he said, cut the illegalness out of them, cut their necks, take their property, you would be screaming. And here it is, you have a leader of a third world country, albeit, saying, cut the whiteness out of them, not slurring his words, not in a little tape deck on national stage. Cut the whiteness out of them. And you have the media saying, nope, Trump is wrong. Doesn't get any stupider than that. Well, my friends, that'll wrap up another show of the Reality Check. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, we'll have the big stories, of course. We'll have a UFC preview. Have a safe and happy week, and smile.